Hi, it's my freestyle Wednesday, and I'm just going to be talking and gisting with different people. But my main guest today is Seun Kuti, and he'll be joining in soon. But in the meantime, let me just say hello to some people. Hi, Henry. Hello, Henry. I think we spoke the other time. Henry, hi. It's always good to have you guys join in once I sign in. It's my freestyle Wednesday. Hi, Henry again. How are you? I just automatically pick you out. How are you
Yeah,
doing? How is UK?
no, I'm in US.
US, yes. How is US? Maryland, yes.
Yeah, I'm
Maryland.
just I just woke up. Though
All right.
when I saw when you pick that you are having
A chat.
a program with Shell,
So yes.
so I was very interested. So
Yeah.
I have to rush my work yesterday.
Oh. Oh.
So be prepared to
What would
be
you
in
like?
the program.
What would you like me to talk to Shin? What would you like to hear from Shin? What kind of gist? I mean, I have my own idea of what I would like to hear from Shin. But what are the things you like to hear from Shin?
Man, so many things.
Right.
It's uncountable.
Mm.
Yeah, because when I took a course in African American history in
Yeah.
US,
Yes.
so I wrote something about Fela. You know, the professor, even the Black Americans, the way they value Fela is not even the way Nigerians value Fela.
Yeah.
So I was reading something about Shehu, that something will be going on in Nigeria. Everybody will keep silence. Nobody want to talk. But
Yes.
when little things happen, people will start talking. But the serious problem that is going on in Nigeria, nobody want to stand. And our
Yeah.
people, we are too scared, and we
Yeah.
are coward. Let me just say, we are coward. You know,
Mm.
because he mentioned something about the father when they were beating his father, and Nigerians they will be there watching instead of them coming to rescue or to support the movement.
Mm.
That is the problem that Africa still having.
Have.
And
Mm.
these Black Americans, some of them they want to come to Nigerians. You
Definitely.
know, I mean, a lot of them, a whole lot, they'll be asking about Nigeria, but I don't want to tell them, go, don't go. Because most of them, when they come there to invest, if anything happens to their money, they will come on me. They will tell me I didn't tell them the truth. So
Yeah.
sometimes when they say, I say, let me back out, I won't say, but if you want to go, you are going for your own risk, you know.
Yeah.
But normally, they like Fela. The way they respect Fela here is more than the way we respect Fela in Nigeria.
Totally. Yeah.
Hmm?
Totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Yes.
One of the reasons why I want to talk to Sean is that I just feel that sometimes you should give an opportunity for that lone voice to speak. And his
Mm-hmm.
views are not very popular, but it's
Mm-hmm.
important that we hear him. And I'd like to just poke a few of his ideas on Nigeria, COVID-19, post-COVID-19, and what his thoughts are going forward, and how do we need to retain our culture or change the culture? It's something I'd like to talk to you about, but it's good for you to check in, Henry.
Yeah, yeah. Well, one thing I want to say, it is good that we retain our culture. In
Mm.
every part of the world, like, you know, American is diverse, but I look at other cultures. They preserve their culture. Japanese will come here, they maintain Japanese. Chinese will come here, they maintain Chinese. It is only we that when we come here, we want to. I mean, it's not. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not good not to import other culture, but it's good. But let's take the better side of it. Then we also preserve our own. Then teach our children about our culture. If you notice that a lot of children over here, when you tell them about Nigeria, they don't want to even hear about Africa due to what has been portraying about African people. You know,
Yes.
so it is good that we preserve our culture, even the language. We don't have to, like, if it is me, if I mean, like, if I happen that to be a president of Nigeria or anything concerned about Africa, I will say let everybody speak their language. Even in teaching, because that will help us a lot to know who we are about ourselves. Because
Right.
that
Right.
language, okay, let's say for example, Mariah, you maybe you are a scientist, and the scientist, and they explain everything in Yoruba for you. Don't you know that you will have more in-depth of science more than any other person? You understand it more. Before
No.
they will even say anything, you already know. You already catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it. This is it. But sometimes the English, we always have a dividing attention
Right.
because you don't
Right.
know even some of the things
I
when they
totally
explain
agree
it
with
in
you.
English.
I totally agree
Yeah?
with you, Henry. You're very correct.
Yes.
You're very, I
Yeah.
totally,
When
nothing
they
matters.
when they explain in English, you'll be finding how to get it. Unlike because when I look at the white people over here, due to everything is in their language, it is very easy for them to do anything without
Right.
even going to school.
Right.
You see some of them, they'll be building the cars, the little children, you see them doing so many things. Most of them, I see some of my white friends, they use their hand to repair their car. Why we can't even do it? Because we don't even understand. By the time you read the first sentence, you'll be confused what they are even trying to say. But if it is in Yoruba or in Igbo, you will do it. You will do it perfectly because
Yeah.
you already
Right.
know. You
Right.
follow. You won't do any mistake.
Okay, I get the
So
point. Let me get a few other people clean. But thank you so much, Henry, for stopping by.
thank you,
All
thank you,
right.
thank you, thank
All
you.
right
God
then.
bless.
Take care.
Yeah.
All right. So
Thank.
stay tuned. All right.
Yeah.
So we're actually starting at 2 p.m. But I just thought to get in early to say hello to everybody. So somebody was asking, like, is this Seun Kuti? That's not Seun. That's Mr. Henry. He's one of my fans from the US. So I'm just stopping by saying hello to everybody before Seun gets. Seun should be in about 2 p.m. I spoke to him already, so he's getting ready to come on. But in the meantime, I'm just using this opportunity to say hello to some people since it's my freestyle. Um, it's my freestyle Wednesday. It's my freestyle Wednesday, and I'm just saying hello to everybody. That's why we have well, Seun should be on very soon. So I'm supposed to be connecting with Feyi Shayo, I believe. Hello, Feyi Shayo.
Hello.
Ooh, are you a medical health
Yes.
worker?
Yes.
Oh, ẹ kú iṣẹ́ o. Mwah, mwah. God bless you.
Thank you. The last I wanted to speak to Mama. You are from Ekiti State.
Oh, she's. I think she went downstairs or something like that, but she's not around today. Maybe next time we'll bring her in another time. How are you doing? What hospital
Fine.
do you work in?
I'm working with IIT, International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, Ibadan.
Oh wow, that's nice. So it's good to know that you're out there. She are keeping safe. You have all the PPEs, obviously. And
Yeah,
they keeping you
of
guys
course.
nice and safe. Well, that's good. That's good. Good to have you. And I know you tried to get in the other time. I think I remember this name
Yes,
last
yes,
time
yes.
doing Momo's interview. Cool.
Yes, I wanted to speak to her.
So I'm
Okay.
gonna watch my Kuti interview. Seun Kuti.
If I don't have patience. Just now, I'm let this. You let this.
Okay.
I don't have patience.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
thank you.
Take
I do
care.
listen for this thing every day, every day, every day. So
Oh,
yes,
well,
I like every day. Thank you very
well.
much.
All righty. Take care.
All right, so you want me to keep Mama?
Well, what am I doing? No, don't show my room like that. I beg. What kind of disgrace is this? Ahem. So I'm trying to get. So Sean will be in. Oh, Sean is here already. So party's over. I was actually gonna just gist with you guys, but Sean is here already. So we're gonna start off. I was going to continue gisting with you guys before Sean stopped by, but I just saw that he's on. Hi, Sean. Go, Sean. Go, Sean.
Hello.
It's your birthday.
You see,
I've been
I'm on time.
following
I'm not
your.
late. I'm not late.
You're not late. You came early.
Don't
I've been
take it for
gisting with my
granted
people.
because last week I was 17 minutes late to a radio interview.
Oh my Lord! Now
On the
that you're even
phone.
on lockdown, you should be early.
No, I was late for a phone call interview on the radio.
Oh, goodness me!
I'm the
How
only
you
one
doing?
that can be 17 minutes late for a phone call interview.
Only Seun Kuti can do that. How is everything?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
How is the lockdown been for you and your family, the kids, school? Are you helping her with the school, your daughter, with school stuff?
Oh no. Well, she's at her uncle's house right now with her cousins.
Oh, wow, that's good.
Because
So
I've
it's
not
just
been
you
working,
alone.
I've not been making money, so I just shipped her off to my brother's house to feed her for some days.
Why are
I
you
can't shout.
why are you so truthful? Why
I
are you so
can't shout.
truthful? That's
Yes,
nice.
sir. Brafemi is the father of the family, so I'm Baba Olomo Pupo Niwon already. So just throwing my own little one among his litter. He won't even notice.
Oh my goodness. Good to have you on. All right, so let's get right into it because there's a lot I want to talk to you about. And the reason why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because a lot of Nigerians don't focus a lot on these kind of topics. We like the gisting, let's jab the government, but we hardly look within. And I want us to just start with this whole season of COVID-19, what it means for Africa, the fact that I've been thinking a lot, Seun, and what I've been thinking is that this post-COVID-19 is like an opportunity for Africa to rebirth. Let me tell you why I feel that way. We have seen that every country is protecting themselves. They're not thinking Africa right now. Everybody's all man for himself at this period. And we are not at the top of the mind of many people in the West. Do you think we should begin to see the lessons, what COVID-19 is teaching us? Or do you feel that life is going to go back to normal? We shouldn't bother.
Well, I think the thing is we are easily distracted, Not that we are easily. It's not easy because our elite spend billions of naira every year keeping us distracted. So it's not easy. It's quite an expensive venture. But yeah, they tend to pull it off. So it's not only for me, it's not even what should shock us into action. It's not the fact that the West is not thinking about us.
Okay.
I mean, this is 2020. If you really believe in the universalism of Western rhetoric, then you are still a child. Because their universalism of brotherhood is only rhetorical, right?
It's not factual.
Yes, because at the end of the day, we can see now that the world is not, there's no brotherhood in the world. Nobody is listening to the global institutions that they've created.
WHO.
Unified the epitome of the unification of man. UN will say something, nobody is listening. WHO is saying something, nobody is listening. So I mean, that is not even the issue for me. I mean, that's the real.
But what do you think is the issue? Why is Africa
the issue
where
is that
Africa
we
is?
ourselves have not been shocked into action based on our own inability to handle our own crisis. Right? Nigeria has made how much from oil in the last 60 years? $1 trillion, maybe more, $5 trillion. And what have we gotten from it as a nation? We can't even help our people in time of crisis for 2 weeks.
It was quite difficult. Internet issues.
Can you hear me?
Lost you for a moment, but I'm back now.
Okay, are we not tired of seeing African people running around the streets, chasing after trucks of food, begging for alms? I said something to a friend of mine. I said, what is really painful about
Lost you there, internet. Internet issues. Seun, I can't hear you. All I heard was you talked to a friend of yours. I lost you. All I heard was you talked to a friend.
Sorry, my network
yes.
kind of like skipped out and someone called
all
me.
All I heard you say was you spoke to your friend.
Yeah. So I was speaking to my friend some weeks ago and I said, I was like, it's a shame that we live in a country where all we have to offer our poor youths in time of plenty is touting and begging. And now that we are under lockdown, what do we see offer them? Touting and begging. So the level of I want to say our own inability to see the reasons why we, for our own reasons, for our own benefit, need to make sure that our people are uplifted is my own real takeaway from this.
That the finance minister, said last week. Let me cut you for a second. I want you to put this in proper perspective. The finance minister said something last week that the kind of money Nigeria needs, we don't have it right now. That Nigeria is too big, quoting her words, that our population is too big for the budget we have. Now, when I heard the finance minister say that, I said, are you implying that it's time for us to kuku split? Should we do that restructuring, or what exactly is she implying?
Well,
Do you agree with that statement?
What she's implying is that she's inept. That she doesn't have the qualifications to hold the job. I'm not insulting her. If you're the finance minister of a country and you are saying that you cannot finance that country, that the population of that country, didn't you know our population before you took the job? Did Nigeria suddenly grow into 200 million after you took the job? You see, this kind of excuses that people give, and while we have media people there, and they allow them get away with it. Imagine if the Prime Minister of England said to the English people, the Finance Secretary of England said to the English people, oh, we cannot do anything for you because you are too much. Our country is too small, and the population is too much. Would you think you keep that job the next day? But the media people will let it slide. They will sit out there, they will nod their heads, and they will let it slide. Such atrocious statements, such violent statements, really, because that statement is violent. It's violent to the extent that, okay, we are too much. So what do you want? We should kill. You have to kill off a few of us, or what are you saying?
No, I doubt if that's what she's trying to.
I mean, no, don't get it wrong, because there's a depopulation agenda in the world also. People like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Rockefeller
I don't know about that one.
No. I'm just saying this is not. I'm not spreading conspiracy theory of anything. I'm just saying they also believe officially that the world is too much. Okay. That there's population explosion.
Okay.
That the world has to look for a way to reduce the number of people.
So do you believe in this conspiracy theory of Belinda Gates and her husband?
Things on their website, no. The conspiracy theory is to tie it to COVID. That's why they are doing COVID. But on their website, it's there, plain to see. It's not like we are. Even when they come to Africa and they hold their meetings, they talk about how our poor gives birth to too many children, right? Even they've sold it to us so much that even we black people, we say to other people, why are poor people giving birth when they know they cannot take care of children? Those kind of statements are the depopulation agenda politically, So when the politician makes that kind of statement, we have to look at the entire spectrum of the implicity of that statement. What do you mean Nigerians are too much? Like it's really an important question that somebody should have asked, because that's why I'm insinuating, because I don't really know what she means by it, because nobody put up the follow. No media person said to her, what do you mean by Nigerians are too much?
So in your view also, the media is not taking responsibility in setting the agenda, or even also ensuring good governance. Is that what just also implying that we're not doing our job?
Well, I'm just saying, the last time I had an interview with my friend, the media guy, they said I was too harsh on the media, so I'm trying not.
Let me go to the area of culture, because there are a few points I want to make sure I get from this interview. Culture. A lot of people today, the African culture is honestly, this is how I see it. We preach culture. Yes, 2 days ago we had World Africa Day, and we're preaching the language, the people. We must believe and trust our own. But Shewa, I put it to you today. Doing all that, what has it gotten us? We have not created a train. We have not created a fan. We've not invented anything. So why are we so holding on to this culture, this heritage, when really what we should be actually doing, the focus on education, or how some kind of empower young people to drop the culture.
The problem is we're not actually holding on to our culture, because it is culture that educates. I will explain it to you this way. If your culture is not the basis for your education, then your education can never give you knowledge. Okay? So we as Africans, for example, my education has taught me, I always say to my friends, don't ever mistake the answer for the truth, right? Because the answer is not often the truth. For example, you do exam. Who discovered River Niger? You as a Nigerian, if you want to pass that exam, you have to write Mungo Park. That is the correct answer. But is that answer the truth? So we are educated in lies because the education is not based on our culture. That is the reason why we have produced more lawyers today in Nigeria than we had in 1960. And we have less justice. We have produced more doctors, we have less healthcare. We have produced more, anything you think of, we had more of it today. We have graduated more microbiologists, more anything, but it does not reflect in society, right? Because that education is not grounded in the culture that it is supposed to represent. So it is the reason why we lack invention, we lack vision, especially in the leadership and elite, because people think it's Nigerians that are lazy. No, the laziness in Nigeria is in the elite and the political and business elites. Those are the truly lazy.
But people believe that Nigerians are lazy, that some Nigerians are lazy.
Yeah, but what I mean, when people say that Nigerians are lazy, what I realize is that it is the poorest Nigerians that work the hardest. And it is not, in Nigeria is a country where your skill or your talent is not the determinant of your success. We live in a country, whether we like it or not, where success is given. So really, who is an unsuccessful man? Is it a historian? Somebody that is a historian in Nigeria that is great at history, but Nigeria has refused to create a platform for that potential to shine. So he has all this knowledge in his head and he's going around poor. You say he's lazy because he doesn't have anything, any platform to let it. Even if you're a nuclear physicist in Nigeria, if you don't run out of Nigeria and you're a talented nuclear physicist, won't you be poor?
Absolutely.
If you're a talented astrophysicist, a theoretical physicist, all these jobs that are the foundations and grounds of invention, what we're talking about, where is the government program? Robotics, aeronautics, rocket engineers, then rocket science, rocket scientists. Where are the avenues for such people to shine in this country? So these people that you are saying they are lazy, isn't it possible that that is where their talent is, that you have just not created the avenue?
Exactly, you're very correct, Seun, because
you know, what is truly laziness? Laziness is to not be able to have the opportunity to, but refuse to fulfill one's potential. And that for me is the definition of the Nigerian business and political elites. Because Nigerian elites, the only expression they have for their wealth is luxury. And that is not the full potential of that opportunity. So therefore, they are lazy. Lazier than anybody else in Nigeria, lazier than even the boys sleeping 24 hours under the bridge, smoking igbo and drinking all day. Because you have the opportunity to develop a country, you have the resources, but you rather chase girls with it, drink foreign drinks, fly private jets, show off your new house, buy 100 Rolls Royce, and you think that is life, right? So your children will come on Instagram and be flaunting our own commonwealth in our face because your influencers has influenced the majority of people or professionals, not really people, but the professionals of Nigeria. And when they carry your cough, come up from my side. Sorry, Auntie Murayo. I think somebody here has corona. I beg.
Please, don't give Seun Kuti corona here.
Which kind of cough will be this one? Now you they smoke the gold. Sorry, Auntie Murayo. I beg.
It's okay.
Am I the key? I have a daughter that needs me around. I'm sorry, the cough was just, it caught you that way. You have to be afraid of cough. It's like gunshots. These days, if you hear cough and gunshots, you run towards gunshots.
You run. I went somewhere today and they sneezed. I just stopped first. I saw where the system just
Did anybody see
dragged.
me? Did anybody
Yes,
see me
so,
release this bomb?
so let's talk about education. I mean, I feel you because the Nigerian laziness. Because when I watch CNN and all these international news stations and they're looking for vaccine, they're looking at the schools. They're talking to universities, professors in Scotland, in UK. They're engaging all their educational, their academias at this period. And here in Nigeria, we have that huge gap, that vacuum that's been created by poor education. How many of our
Yeah.
professors can we engage? Yes, we know we can engage professors, but
No, but you see, the
how
thing
many of them
about
can
it
have these real solutions?
the elite of Nigeria, in cahoots with their political bodies, have come together since the 90s to defund the entire public sector of Nigeria, claiming to us Nigerians that they will replace it with a private sector equivalent, that the government cannot achieve the kind of development that Nigerians need. So government should stop investing in public institutions. They should take that money and give it to our rich people. And then the rich people will in turn provide the goods and services that we Nigerians need. So first of all, because that is what happens in Nigeria, go and look at our health budget, look at our education budget, then compare it to AMCON's budget, the bailout budget of 2010. Compared to the concessions, compared to all these loans that they give people, compared to all the waiver in custom. So there's no fund for public. In fact, it was just somebody just pointed out to me that our educational budget, the budget for our education is about 40-something billion for 1 year, while the budget of the Senate is 145 billion for the same 1 year. So 100 and about 700 people, how many people there deserve 145 billion, and 45
Education.
billion is for 200 million people. What kind of equation is that? So these people, first of all, they create these private institutions, right, charging us world-class prices, but paying us local wages.
But Seun, they said that government is a facilitator. Government cannot create. I mean, that's what we are told. That government's job is just to facilitate.
That is a false narrative. That is a false narrative. Because the only way you and I, you understand, the only way you and I can be guaranteed that our children can compete in society is if public institutions are functioning. Because then if it is private, then it is only the richest that will have the opportunity.
Can afford it.
Then so we are all now stuck in a race, in a rat race. So you are working in a place now, they are paying you 800,000 a month. But you know that the best school in your area is 2 million a year. And you see children going there. It is your natural instinct as a parent to make sure that is the child of that school your child goes to. Make sure that your child has the best in life.
Certainly.
You don't want to live in a shabby neighborhood where your child will be exposed to crime. So you move to a nice neighborhood. What is your rent? 3 million a year. Abi? Looking at all the bills we have to pay as Nigerians, matching it to the salaries that most of us, even senior professionals, have, we'll find out that our salaries do not cover what our elites charge us to exist. Because that is all the Nigerian elites do. They put a price on our existence. So they never venture far into truly developing Nigeria. They like modernizing Nigeria because modernization makes the West rich. They are overlords that give them the protection that they need to continue to dominate us. You understand? So the same person that is your boss that is paying you these low wages is the same person that owns the school. They're the same people that own the houses. They're the same people that own the transportation, the airlines that we take everywhere. They're the same people that own everything that we. They're the same people that sell us food to eat at exorbitant prices. Bill Gates was saying, he was discussing with his friend Dangote on ways to stop
Dangote is my
Nigeria.
uncle, please. Dangote is our uncle.
Yeah, so him and Bill Gates were discussing about stopping hunger in Nigeria.
Yes.
I listened to the whole interview, and between the two of them, there's no time that they talk about how Dangote's food is too high for the common man in Nigeria to afford. Because that is the real reason why the common man is hungry. Because he cannot afford the food the Nigerian elites are selling.
But we need more Dangote. Okay, let me come to that, because listen, one of the things.
No, let me just land. So
okay,
what
please.
I'm saying is, these same people that give us low wages charge us extremely high prices for their own goods and services, thereby keeping us in ransom, holding us hostage to them. You are beholden to your job. Whatever your boss tells you to do, you have to do it because you have bills to pay. Now, if the institutions were public, and our best schools and our best hospitals and our best transportation companies and all those things were public institutions run with taxpayers' money, with public oversight for the benefit of all, they will not be under such pressure.
Right.
This is 20 years we've been in this democracy now. Where is the federal public housing? Everything is private. They say it's low income, mid-income estates, high income. Where is the federal public housing to compete with private housing in Nigeria? We have been 20 years. Have they built 1 million units? Lagos State government, how many have they built? I will be shouting, Lagos State government is working. Lagos State, homeless people everywhere.
So, but listen, we, the people, voted these guys in ourselves.
We didn't vote them in.
Me, I went to the polls, though.
Because the truth is, we've not really been given an option. We're always giving the option of devil and the deep blue sea.
Right.
Devil, and so that's not real election.
But someone like Afolabi-Brown came out, nobody voted for him. Somebody like a Patutomi came out, nobody voted for them.
No, but it's not that nobody voted for them. It's not that nobody voted for them. The truth is that the space is very expensive. So this is what I'm saying. I don't want to say media, and if I now say media, you'll be angry.
No, go ahead.
The truth is that election time, this is why I believe that media should never be privately owned. Privately owned media, even social media, once it's privately owned, becomes anti-people. So, like, I don't want even Nigerians to look bad at our media. Look at the UK, News of the World, Murdoch and David Cameron going behind the Prime Minister, someone that wanted to run for Prime Minister, going to meet with the owner of a media empire, doing a deal together that you give him unfettered access. He don't want exposes his opponent. They started tapping phones of people, exposing, So this is what private media does during elections. They pick sides and forget about the truth. They do not inform Nigerian people. And again, Nigerian people, we are still young in politics. We were banned from politics for over 40 years. Right? This, in my own generation, this is the first political experiment. We don't have teachers to look back to. We don't have examples to help us. And those that should help the youth with true historical knowledge and organizational skills, to give them the resources that they need to politicize themselves, rather distract the people. So for me, it is not that we voted them in power more than we were strong-armed into the position. Let's talk
about solutions now. So we know, everybody knows the state of the nation. Everybody knows our culture. We don't appreciate our culture. Education is poor. COVID-19 is here. Everybody's thinking of themselves, and we have an opportunity. And the reason why I'm trying to connect this to COVID-19 is that it seems, for me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it seems that this pandemic is giving Africa an opportunity to look within, because now our borders are closed. We can't buy this champagne and all these things from all over the world. We now have to look for the ogogoro and drink within and look, party within pretty much. Do you think it can be a wake-up call to us as a people to begin to think for solutions going forward and not depend so much on the West like we've done for centuries?
But you see, the thing is that you can't say depend on the West. It is not just that we depend on the West. There's a culture of dependency. And the culture of dependency is validated by the institutions of influence in society. So our leaders have to justify their own dependent outlook to the world by making Nigerian people feel dependent on them. What am I saying? Right. I'm saying throughout this whole crisis that we have had, what has our influencers offered the Nigerian people? Have they offered them the opportunity to organize politically? No. They are doing giveaway. So you feel, oh, one big man online is going to give you 5K, you know, try. Just the way we live our lives. You go to church to pray to make it every day. Just keep trying, even though things are not working. So go to the big man's page. Pray to God. God, please send the big man my way to bless me. Send me a good job. You know, these same prayers that we pray. So it's not, okay, I always say to people, many people live in their parents' house in Nigeria till they are 30. This is highly unnatural, but it is deliberate, because our government knows that if a young man becomes independent early and begins to develop independent thoughts, he will be harder to manage than somebody that is infantilized. So our governments make sure that we African people, we continue to remain infantilized, that we do not grow up. So when you meet a Nigerian man, you know, and woman, but let me just say man, or a Nigerian, let me use person, let me be gender neutral. You meet a Nigerian person, you ask him when you're in secondary school, what are your dreams in life? You tell you, I want to marry, have children, build a big house, have a nice car, you know, live good, have fun with my friends. If you meet the same man when he's 60, and you ask him, what are your dreams? If he hasn't gotten those things, there will be no evolve. Even though he has money, you still say, oh yeah, man, I want to make more money, build more houses, have more cars, have more fine girls. We do not grow. And it is deliberate. That's why they infantilize us with the programs that they show us on TV. You know, many people say that music doesn't mean anything. When I say there's too much violence in black music, they'll say it should be the Arnold Schwarzenegger acts film and he kills people. I say you watch Arnold Schwarzenegger's film maybe once a year, maybe twice if you like the film. But songs that you like, you play it on repeat 100 times a day. If you think listening to something for 2 minutes doesn't affect your psyche, what that thing is promoting, why do you think corporations spend billions of naira advertising their goods on TV on repeat?
Right.
Because that is how the human brain works. You know, you cannot be listening to slap a hoe, beat a bitch, kill a black woman, and say you want to respect your wife. Never. You can't be listening to songs every day that are telling you don't trust anybody, everybody wants to kill you, everybody is your enemy, and you think you want to develop a nation. Never.
But still, so now our education, as I was saying earlier, our education system is poor. The people that are on the streets don't have the education, because the truth, at the end of the day, development, technology, digital world is what is here. We need to what makes the West above us is this thing called technology and education. They are able to solve problems. We are consuming and consuming. We don't create anything.
No, what has made the West,
what has
put the West in front of everybody else is sheer brutality, not education or technology.
Sorry,
sheer brutality. What has put the West ahead of everybody
is brutality.
Not education or technology. Now, it's sheer brutality.
How do you
sheer
mean?
Genocide, man, humanity to man, complete. I mean, because you have to look at many African countries have gotten it right. Congo got it right with Lumumba. What did they do to Lumumba? They killed him. The Belgians and the Americans. What did they do to Nkrumah? What did they do to Sankara? So any African, it is not like as if they leave us to our own means and we do not get it right. I always tell people one of the biggest problems with African liberation is that our leaders don't live to old age. So young revolutionaries like myself and people that want to change this country do not have those people to lean back to go and meet for advice, for strategy, to have them behind us. Go and look at the history of black liberation. It's full of assassinations. Even in this country, in this Nigeria, how many of our revolutionary leaders are around today to guide and lead the youth into the new generation? So there's a constant attack on us in Africa, trying to make it. Even when we get it right, we are deliberately sabotaged. Look at Libya. So I will never accept that it is by technology or education that the West has been advanced in the world. No, it is by cultural imperialism and brutality. Go and read about what the Belgians did in Congo. You know, So I mean, these are the things that
we talked about. I want to talk about cultural imperialism. A lot of people didn't understand what I was driving out, because the fact that we absorb the international culture and use it to replace ours. We prefer to wear the weaves. I mean,
yeah, because Western people have a way of deceiving people that their culture is universal. You understand? That what their world outlook is not selfish. That when they say things, they're not saying it to benefit white people. That they're saying it for everybody to be good.
It's for our good, though, because I can't
in
imagine.
fact, it's important that I feel like it's important that people read this book.
Which one is that? Truth. Is that what?
No.
What is that? It's backwards.
It's backwards. Oh, I don't know how.
Yes, that's where.
Okay, let me read it. It's Yurugu, an African-centered critique of European cultural thought and behavior. It's written by Marimba Ani. So I've been going back to reference this book a lot to people these days, because it is important that we also understand the culture that we are up against, the pillars that they have put in place to sustain their own advantages in the world. And it is not our place to expect them to dismantle those institutions for us. It is our place to engage in revolutionary struggle to make sure that Black people demolish those institutions in our own societies, so we can erect institutions that represent us. I said
let
to
me
people,
explain to you why.
Let me just land. I said to people, it is not a coincidence that banks don't lend Black people money in Europe and America. It is not because they are white owned, because banks that are Black owned in Nigeria also do not lend Black people money. Is it because the banks in Nigeria are also white owned? No. It is because the institution of banking itself is anti-Black.
Anti-Black, a deal. Don't break this table.
No, but it's true. I tell people, look at Western institutions. You go to America, they say housing institution, Black people are highest in homeless numbers. Come to Africa, that is our own land. In housing, we Black people are also homeless. How many homeless white people are in Nigeria? In all institutions under capitalism, Black people are not moving ahead anywhere in the world. Look at the numbers. Go look at the police institutions. The way they are killing Black people in America is the way police kill us here in Africa. Is it because the police here are white?
So what? So the root cause of the problem is an international agenda, the colonial agenda against the Black.
It is not
Black
a colonial
race.
agenda. It is a system of global white domination. And the more we as
there's a theory,
so
let me pause you for a second. There's a theory that a lot of Nigerians feel that we should have remained colonized because maybe we would have had proper development. Same way South Africa right now has the West living with them, and they are almost like the most modern or enlightened or colonized, or you can even call it the most 21st century country in Africa. All of us, many Africans feel that we should have actually stayed colonized. What are your thoughts on that?
That's the selfish Africans that have some little change in their pocket because they have good jobs and some little money. How many Black people in South Africa have made it? See, we look at all these monuments of capitalism that they erect and say it's development. No, this is modernization. That's not development. Development is you falling down and you can call an ambulance to pick you up. Do you have that? Even though you have skyscrapers and Rolls Royce. If armed robber is in your house, can you call the cops to come and help you?
No.
Exactly. So why are we talking about private jets and fine malls when Black people in South Africa live some of the most abject neighborhoods in the world, completely neglected? I mean, come on, just because things are good for white people in South Africa doesn't mean South Africa is a good country or a developed country. I'm sorry. South Africa is actually one of the most underdeveloped countries in Africa for Black people. Wow. Because that is what I say. We have to begin to see things from our own perspective. Right. That is one of the solutions to our problem. You know, I mean, how can you think People that say that we need to be colonized more do not understand, do not know because they don't teach them, so they don't understand what colonialism was. They don't want us to realize the brutality that
But
white people used to operate amongst us here.
When you talk like this, it's just too deep for some of us. Some of us just feel like, you know what? I want a good life for my family. I can move to Canada. My children, I want peace of mind.
Those people like that, people like that, they don't talk about how they want a good country. Because for us to have a good country, I always say to people, the first step to the first step to developing your world is developing your consciousness. You raise your consciousness, you raise your world. Your world cannot be above your consciousness. The situation in Nigeria today, you understand, the level Nigeria is today is the level of our collective consciousness. If we want Nigeria to be better than this, we have to raise our collective consciousness, then Nigeria will raise to meet it.
So one person can't do it.
One person can't do it. It's a collective
That's
effort.
collective.
Yes. See, one of the things that we don't realize in Africa as Black people is that we are children of sacrifice. Even when our ancestors do the rituals, that they drop sacrifice, you know, that is the complete picture of what we are. Under this capitalism, what nobody tells you, you know, when they tell you about this universalism, is that Black people were never invited to the table for anything in this system. For a Black man to enter the bus, somebody has to die. That's sacrifice. For you as a Black man to go to school, somebody has to die. You are not allowed. For you to vote, somebody has to die. For you to get that job in media, in oil, in hospital, to be a lawyer, anything that, to even sit down like this in our own homes, in our own country, was sacrifice. Blood was spilled. Without Nkrumah, you and I cannot sit down here today.
Freedom, yeah.
No, freedom is we are free, but completely oppressed in our own land. Slavery was over, but we were under colonialism.
Yeah. Okay, I get
Black people do not walk on the same road as white people in our own country. If a white man is walking on the road, you have to step down on the sidewalk and bow your heart. My grandfather refused, they bayonet his eye. You know? So we do not understand the horrors, the sacrifice, because, you know, as soon as we gain, because this is what Black people do wrong. We win the war, but we lose the peace. So we kicked out the colonial masters and we left their trained hoodlums, the Nigerian military, amongst us. We did not disband the military. That was the grave mistake of every African colonial nation, to leave the colonial military and adopt it as a national military. Because in less than 6 years, these their boys that they've been implanted with guns amongst all of us took power all over Africa.
Yeah, that's very correct.
All the benefits in under 30 years, all the things Lumumba, Sankara, Nkrumah, Herbert Macaulay, my grandmother, every great Nigerian suffered to fight for. They reversed everything in 30 years till everything got to a head in SAP. Where they finally dismantled all the public institutions.
Oh, so you see, when we talk like this, people get frustrated. You know what?
People don't understand. They don't make the connection. We have to understand that we must be intellectual. We must raise our consciousness. We must be willing to do the work. The work is the sacrifice, and that sacrifice is the solution to our problem. We can't not just say we love our country without.
So some of us must be willing to die. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, death is a part of it. The people that have died we are not better than them. Greater men than us.
They didn't plan to die. It just happened.
Greater men than us have given their life for us. Steve Biko, you know, being one of the most prominent, you know, one of them. I mean, Sankara. I mean, so many great men. Frontline. My grandmother thrown out of the window.
Are you willing to die for Nigeria? Sure.
I'm not willing to die. I'm willing to live for Nigeria.
Okay.
If you're willing to die, is the negative European concept of freedom. It's true. See, willing to live means I already see myself, you know, as the unliving. I've already accepted that. Now I'm willing to live. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to live. What we have been programmed to accept is actually a willingness to die. Because I see the way Nigerians live their lives. Because when people say, "Oh, are you willing to die for freedom?" I say to them, living in Lagos, you're already dead. No, I'm telling you, immediately, even in your house, it's dangerous. But maybe in your house, your probability of dying is maybe 45% suddenly. But as soon as you step out of your door in Lagos, your probability of dying goes up to 90%. But none of this make us stay in our house and say we're not going to go out and look for money. So we are willing to die for that money. Because people that were in their car, that container, remember that container that fell from the bridge in Ojuelegba and crushed people in their car? Were they struggling for freedom? When our billionaires, their trucks explode on the express, billionaires that cannot maintain trucks, that cannot buy world-class good trucks and train drivers, their drivers will be killing people, trucks will be exploding, falling over on the highway, kill 20-something people on the express. How many of them were going to struggle? Were they on their way to protest? So, the people that pipeline exploded under their community in Amuwo Dolphin and kill all of them there. What are they struggling? Okay. So we are willing to die already. It's not that we are not willing to die to live. And that is what we have to understand. So we are willing to give our lives to help our oppressor continue the status quo, to keep the wheel turning. A lot of us go out every day running the rat race, helping our oppressors get stronger. But we're not willing to give few times, few seconds, few hours, few days, few months for our own liberation. And that is the real problem of Nigeria. I'm sorry, whatever the solution must be, must start from us raising our consciousness above the level that it is now.
In a nutshell, there must be multiple Showore's, multiple Seun Kutis, multiple.
Yes, that's why I did not support. That's why I did not support Showore's presidential campaign openly, because I said to him, "You cannot liberate the people. Only the people can liberate themselves." You understand? So Showore being president of Nigeria will never have made Nigeria good or great or solve any of our problems, because he's one man.
The system failure.
That will liberate Nigeria will have presidential candidates, governors in all state assembly, the federal senate, federal assembly, everywhere. We will councillor. This movement will have people to represent Nigerian people at all levels. I mean, imagine Showore being the president of Nigeria and has to contend with a PDP and APC controlled Senate and House of Reps. What will he be able to accomplish? In fact, they will impeach him in 6 months. Or they will frustrate him for that 4 years so bad that Nigerians will never want to hear new leadership again.
So imagine, let's imagine for a second, somebody wakes up tomorrow and says, "Okay, I want to be president." Someone like a Seun Kuti, for example, and now says, "For me to be president, I need to have all representatives already, House of the 774 local governments. Let me have your chairman already. Have that. I'm sorry, their chairman ready. Let me have their representatives in Senate. Let me have the 36 governors. Have that army of people who are ready to take on the government. That's the only way we can actually have true liberation if we want to live." Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's the truth. That's the work. We must do that hard work. That's the hard work that the Nigerian professionals are shying away from. That is your duty, actually. That is my duty. We that have been able to accomplish certain things and accomplish certain levels of comfort within this oppression, right? Within this oppression, are you listening?
Yeah.
We owe it to our people to liberate them the way things were done for us. The same sacrifices that were made for us to be here today is the same sacrifices that we need to pay forward. This is the work we need to do. This is the only reason why we are here. But instead of us to do that, we instead of aligning with the people, we align with the oppressor and take his trinket, take his things. And because of the things he gives us, we forget our people. We talk down to our people. We blame them for their problems.
Think about your children. You see, sometimes when you want to take the kind of
but this is how you think about your children.
Steps.
You think about your children by creating a healthy community for your children. You cannot cocoon your children in your own little and think, that child is protected.
That's true.
The child is not protected. We are only as strong as the weakest one of us.
Mm.
Okay, because as all of us are professionals today, we are still susceptible to as many dangerous things as the poorest Nigerians are. Maybe we are just able to ameliorate our situation.
That's true. That's very true. Somebody said we are one sickness away from poverty.
What did you say?
Somebody said we are all one sickness away from poverty.
Yes, so one sickness. It's true. Everybody doing big boy, trying to be what we are not, But it's true. How many people look at COVID? I can't tell you how people are trying to borrow money from me. But this, like I said to us, we should not judge ourselves harshly. How many European companies, big multinational companies, have declared bankruptcy because of only 3 months of lockdown? Where is their savings? They'll say black people we are thrifty. We don't like to save money. All these big companies closing down. Where is their own savings?
So we've been too hard on ourselves.
Well, nobody can save in capitalism except you are part of the elites, the top 1%, and that's why they are conservatives, because they want to keep conserving the people's wealth.
I've always asked this question, Seun. Do you think democracy would work for Africa? I mean, do you think we should begin to redo our democracy, or let me say, customize this democracy? Because sometimes I just think about it. I wish the presidency can just take a decision and say, you know what, I'm taking a drastic action. Because sometimes this judicial process takes so long sometimes.
Any system we choose will work. The problem is we just have to make sure. I repeat, we just have to make sure that we remove saboteurs and traitors from within us. As I said, the mistake our ancestors made, and that doesn't make them even any less great, is that we trusted in the universalism of European ethics. But it was only rhetorical. I always say to people this example, like I learned from this great Dr. Marimba Ani. Like when white people came and said they were trying to make us Christians, what does it mean to be a Christian? It means to be Christ-like.
Right.
But if you look at history, you realize that our people were Christ-like to white people. We welcomed them, we fed them, we housed them, we protected them. We welcomed them and shared with them. This is the Christian way. And what do they say about us for acting like Christians? Because they didn't teach us. They say we were naive. And we believe that lie, that our ancestors were naive. No, our ancestors were just good people. So people, they make some certain mistakes that it is now our duty to make sure that we do not make again. So we fought for our independence. We chased out the white people, but we left their army, the black people that were protecting white people from black people. That is what Nigerian army is. That's how they started, Nigerian army and police. Go and read your history. That's why they can never respect black people. That's why the Nigerian army can kill black people anyhow. Nigerian police can kill us anyhow, because that is what they were originally trained to do. The Nigerian army and Nigerian police were the black people, the traitors amongst us, that were willing to kill their fellow brothers to protect black interests in Africa. Let them come and deny it. Bring their history. Let's see who formed them, what their jobs were, what they were doing in Nigeria before. What was Babangida and Buhari doing when we were struggling for colonial independence? They should tell us, give us their diary. What were you doing that time in 1960? They were not children. What was Obasanjo doing in 1960? Was he part of the anti-colonial struggle?
Any of them weren't. They weren't.
Let them, all of them come outside. All these military men running this country to the wall, sinking us into debt unnecessarily, putting us into bondage of the Europeans, the masters that trained them. Because that we like it or not, we are still under these men. Let them come and tell us that they fought for our independence.
All the curses we've cursing these men for 20, 30 years. They are alive and well.
I'm not cursing them. Have I cursed them?
Not you. I'm talking about this Babangida, Obasanjo, the military, that clique.
All
yes,
of us.
from T.Y. Danjuma, all of them go on. I mean,
are
their
alive
honesty,
and
this is
well.
endless. You know? So let them come and tell us